All right, welcome into the I don't know what we're gonna call ourselves right here. We're Bleav on in Packers right now. So this I'm your host Ahman Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and with my good friend and a teammate here, new teammate here, Alex Fernando. Man, how you doing, Alex?
I'm fantastic, man. You said we're talking football, so you knew I'd come running. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm excited to be here to talk football.
yeah, exactly. So Alex and I worked at the University of Nebraska. Now I had to step away slowly. I'm now doing adjunct work. I'm still on campus. I'm kind of floating around like a little ghost. So, I don't know how that's going to work, but it's working. Had first day of class today. Gave out some assignments and some orders to the students, so everything went smooth there so far. But me and Alex met a couple of years ago when I got hired on campus, and we gelled right away. He's the directing assistant recruiter for the College of Journalism and Mass Communication. And then he is a football fanatic like I am and all you Packer fans are out there. But, so him having that background and in coaching, he was actually coaching at a high school while working at the school as well. So helping out with Standing Bear High School there in Lincoln, Nebraska. They were super excited about that. So I knew this was the guy I got to bring on the Packers talk show here and talk Packer football and then stuff around the league that we'll sprinkle in there, Alex. So I gave that little intro, man. So tell the audience anything else about yourself that I might have missed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You kind of hit on the head. Everything media and that kind of world, broadcasting, graphic design, social media content. It's kind of what I specialized in, along with business at the university as a student, but now getting to work here and bring new students in. But on the side, I'm busy. I broadcast games as a play-by-play announcer. I get to coach football, as you mentioned. I have a blog about
Mm-hmm.
Husker and college football, but I love the pros as well. So I follow a lot of rhythm in the pros with obviously fantasy leagues with friends, but more importantly, just keeping up with different rosters and teams and really seeing who is making the right moves in the offseason. I'm anxious to talk about some of the big Packer moves in the offseason. I think they're a team that is
Right.
going to turn some heads in the NFC this year.
Yeah, they did that last year. They had the big push. Jordan started off the season, I say, on the incline, kind of had a little bumps, but then kind of just continued to rise and became a guy that I knew from day one. I say once he has his time, he watched Aaron for the last 3 to 4 years to kind of sit on the shelf, but learn. And to
Mhm.
learn from Aaron, I say is a bonus because he did the things the right way. I met him when we drafted him back in 2005, and I knew Aaron. I was like, yeah, this is going to be the next guy that gets us to a Super Bowl. And he did it. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the team, but that's okay. But I knew his I saw his preparation as a rookie. I saw his preparation as a second year player, and the way he threw the ball, the velocity, the torque, and just how he just didn't give the defense no chances to catch the ball because he would throw it out of bounds or he would take a sack. Go back to a game a few years ago where he's famous for with he was a playoff game against the Cowboys and he gets sacked on one play and then the next play it's like 3rd and 20 something and he completes it for a first down. Then the Packers win on a kickoff field goal by Mason Crosby. That was down in Dallas
Mhm.
about I think 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. But that was due to the fact that Coach McCarthy, I remember my first year with him, which was '06, Aaron's second year, would always say in our meetings all the time, hey, touchdown to check down or throw the ball out of bounds, live to the next down. And so that Aaron, he basically lived that. He lived to the next down. He didn't give the ball away a whole lot, as you know. His stats, his touchdown percentage to interception ratio was always, something like 40 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he knew how to keep the ball in their hands offensively. So now he's gone. John Love comes in and he learned from all that. And so he had the year that I expected him to do. But now we got changes, right? We're going to do a little bit back up to the changes here. So first big notch in the belt for the Packer big change was Aaron Jones. So what was your first reaction finding out that Aaron Jones going to the rival in the conference in the division, excuse me,
That's the
to the
hardest part
Minnesota
about it.
Vikings?
Yeah, that's the hardest
Yeah,
part about it is I mean, for years, you hear Packer fans and everybody just saying free Aaron Jones. Like, let this man just run loose. Let him get the ball. He needs to be a focal point of the offense. And Rodgers,
hmm
obviously, phenomenal quarterback. You can see with the stats, you can see what he did in Green Bay. And
hmm
he has so many weapons. And one of those was Aaron Jones. A little bit more in his prime a couple years ago, but still a great weapon the last couple years. Been battling some injuries. to let him go
Yeah.
to a division rival,
Right.
arguably one of the biggest ones, separate of the Bears, like the Packer Viking rivalry is so big. So that's probably one of the toughest pills to swallow. Seeing him in the purple and gold and watching him,
Yes.
like seeing what that offense is going to look like this year. What's nice is they
Correct.
brought in a very like full quote unquote replacement. But like Josh Jacobs is going to fit. It's a different mold. It's
Yeah.
a different style with him. But you
Yeah.
still have a
He's
very
more
good
he's
running.
more smash and dash. He will run you over.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a like two big punchers with AJ Dillon and Josh Jacobs now.
Yes.
Now you're
Yeah.
hardcore ground game, and you're not doing as much of the checkdowns like Aaron Jones was specialty. I mean, he was probably one of the best pass catchers out of the backfield in the last half
Yeah.
decade, in my opinion. So I think,
Yeah. 100%. He could catch the ball very well.
yeah, his pass catching ability and just his skill set in open space really played to the check down strengths that Rodgers had. Was a great tool for for Jordan Love the first couple years. Now
Hmm.
the Packers really need to lean heavily on that run game if you have two bruisers at running back.
Yeah, 100%. Because starting, I was a product of that back during our time. Myself, William Henderson, our fullback, and then you had guys like Najee Davenport and Tony Fisher that were my backups, and we would basically tenderize the defense to eventually they don't want to support the pass game because they were all tired and beat up from the run game up in between the gaps, and then Javon Walker, Robert Ferguson, Donald Driver, they'll have their opportunities to get wide open because of the play action fake because the DBs are tired of running up and down the field after either them or us as running backs. So I think having guys like Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, hopefully being healthy coming in, Tavian Wicks having a fantastic rookie year, and I Bleav Julian Hicks as well, and this all the rookie core of their wide receivers, which was a position that you coach. You coach at Standing Bear right now. Watching them guys come in as freshmen or basically rookies or
Mhm.
freshmen and basically make a name for themselves in a tough division right now because you got Detroit, you have Chicago now beefed up their roster, and Packers if that's what they did as well, and also Minnesota is like in the lower of the part of the division, but still a solid team. So I'll say from your point of view in terms of what that one core I just mentioned and wide receiver, what do you see there in some of the receivers they have coming off the ball there?
Yeah, I think Jordan Love's got a great set of weapons, and it's youthful. That's one of the more
Mm-hmm.
unique things about the Packers wide receiver core is it's very youthful. You mentioned Romeo Dobbs, Dante Wicks. They're only in the league a year or two now, so
Yeah, I think this is 3 for Romeo,
yeah,
and
this is his
two
third
and
year.
one and number 2
Um,
for Wicks.
yeah, so and I mean even like farther down the roster, Samari Toure, the former Husker that we got to watch here, like
Yeah,
not a starter by any means, but coming in for some relief receiving late in the game and things like
yeah.
that.
They just released him today, though.
Did they?
I
Oh,
think
I
or
missed
2
that.
days ago.
Oh
Yes,
man.
I just found out myself. I think it was this morning. I was
Oh
like,
shoot,
no.
man. I
I'm
was
like,
always a big
nah,
fan of the
somebody.
Huskies there, but well, still, like
Yeah.
regardless, though, again, you go down that list: Watson, Dobbs, Reed. They're
Hmm.
very youthful, and I think that's one of the things that provides the Packers a lot of opportunities in the passing game. Is
Hmm.
with a division like the NFC North, where you got a lot of cold weather games later in the year, and it's a lot of ground and pound. But you look at the other teams and how they're adjusting, they're kind of following the Packers mold. Like the Bears are starting to add in more youthful wide receivers, more spread with a mobile quarterback. The
Hmm.
Lions are much more of a passing attack since they got Jared Goff the last couple of years, and obviously Stafford was a heavy passing attack, but they're trying to like they've upgraded the receiver sense. Same with Minnesota, obviously when Kirk Cousins was there. So like they're all kind of flowing in the same direction, in my opinion, and the Packers
Hmm.
receiver core starts to match up a little bit better with some of the other teams, not just in the division, but across the NFC because of that youth.
Yeah, man, that youth is gonna get them, down the road. Like they got into the playoffs last year, even though Aaron Jones was on the bench with the injuries. AJ Dillon did his job, and then the rest of that, let's say the offense and then the defensive side of the ball was able
Exactly. They're
to
going to stay
basically
healthier.
beat teams. Yeah, stay as long as they stay healthy. I think they got a good run for this season. And so let's get into this season. Training camp went pretty much, very quiet. No big stuff out of Packer
No
camp like
big
we've been
injuries,
hearing.
which is the key.
Right.
Because you look at the
That's what I'm
Vikings
saying.
next
That's what I'm
door.
referring to.
Yeah, you look at the Vikings next door, and like they're a train wreck when it comes to injuries.
JJ
Packers
McCarthy,
are
I know he
healthy.
got hurt. Yeah, so having no injuries, And then playing preseason, like preseason is, get the young guys in there to get reps. They went 2-1 in preseason, so now we got the regular season coming up in another week and a half now. But we got to get ready for it. So talking up that game, so it's in Brazil, it's an international game, and it's a team that, as we saw last season, kind of faltered and just imploded towards the back half of the regular season for 2023 was the Philadelphia Eagles. They were a Super Bowl contender the year before, but then something just had them not on track. So from your point of view, we were all watching it. We were talking about it in the offices last year.
Yeah.
So from your point of view, Alex, what was that? What was the one thing you maybe saw that was the reason why they just kind of had that spiral down to not making it the playoffs or making the playoffs and getting booted out in the first round by Tampa Bay?
Sometimes you can get caught in the rumors a little bit. I really think it's kind of a locker room player coach. Like Doug Peterson, fantastic coach, has a lot of history with the Eagles, playing quarterback there and everything. But going from playing in that locker room to coaching that locker room is a very different transition. And I think that's one of the things.
Oh, you said Doug? You said Doug? No, it's Sirianni.
Sorry. Ah, goodness, I got confused.
No, that's all. No, that's okay. Sorry. Yeah, you got to get the note. That's all right.
Talking about that transition from Doug to Sirianni, that translate over because there's when Doug was there, I think he had a good idea of what the locker room kind of needed in terms of a professional demeanor. Nick Sirianni, if you switch over now and kind of looking at it the last couple of years, that's where that locker room demeanor's gotten a little different.
They had good. They still had a little bit of good success in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. First year, but now, you look at the talent with that roster, you know what they're trying to do there. I just think the fiery aspect of Sirianni is a little bit different demeanor than what the Eagles initially were looking for, and it paid off when you're winning. That kind of demeanor works really well when you're winning. When you have a couple faulted games, if you have some rough turnovers, you have a couple sideline issues, that's when things start to buckle a bit. And I think that's what we saw a little bit last year with Sirianni. Is the first year was really good because you're inheriting, again, that really well-demeanor roster, well-demeanor locker room. And then now it transitions over and you're like, okay, this is we're headbutting a little bit more than we thought we were the first time around.
Yeah.
And certainly things that can be fixed, but those are conversations in the locker room. And you lose a big leader with Jason Kelce retired.
100%.
And you have a lot of other good leaders on that team, but he was one of the core guys. So you got to find some more of that locker room demeanor. And I think that translates to the on the field success because everybody's understanding what the same goal is and on the same page, essentially. That was my look at the Eagles last year and the kind of their derailment. Is it just looked like there's a little bit of headbutting in the locker room that wasn't there before.
Exactly. Having that, I say, youthness. Young players, because Jalen Hurts still, he's still not even close to half, to 4 or 5 years. He's still a young player. Got a big deal, earned a big deal. But you said, not having that leadership like Kelce in the building, you do replace him with a very good player who we both know very well, Cam Jurgens, that was also a Nebraska Cornhusker not too long ago.
Yep.
So
I did Cam's recruitment back in the day.
Right. Oh, there you go. That's awesome. But no, him and other players, I say to me, even I like Devontae Smith, but still has a little, I say, place to grow, a little bit to grow in the leadership side of it, not only through his actions, but obviously, stepping up in the locker room because you have a guy like AJ Brown, phenomenal receiver, but I think he has the receiver ego that comes.
He's much more the solo receiver guy. I mean, you
right, that comes with
even Terrell Owens vibes from him back in the Eagle days.
A little bit, yeah. He's not doing push-ups or sit-ups in the driveway with the crew around him yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't get to that level.
No, but the show's about AJ Brown in terms of the Eagle offense in his mind.
Yes,
and that's something that you don't see when you have a team like the Packers that you don't have kind of that main number one receiver. You have a group of guys that are all very solid options for Jordan Love, but that youthfulness, again, everybody knows okay, we don't have a top dog receiver. We all got to step up and play our game.
Yep. And so now flipping over to the other side, the team that's also going down to Brazil, talking about our Packers now. So we got the Packers defense going to have to deal with Jalen Hurts, and we just talked about AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and then the new addition to Philly's offense. They just got just a little bit, a little east from New Jersey. Saquon Barkley is now a Giant. So I feel, I say,
Eagle.
what the Packers defense against the run, I say definitely last year was something that it wasn't, you know, a big deal early in the season. They kind of struggled a little bit, but they were more effective in the pass game and slowing down the team passing the ball. But then later on that little 3 game, once Aaron Jones came back into the offense, the defense was like able to now stop the run and the pass to get them to the playoffs. And I think they figured that out, that not only do you have to stop the pass game, which is I won't say it's easy, but once you get good at it, it does become easy. But if you know how to stop the pass and the run, you're going to be a playoff caliber team. And I think they figured that out. I like Preston Smith. Now
Mhm.
he's growing in his leadership role, being the kind of the veteran of the defense, along with Kenny Clark, and then somebody that was more of in a rotation that helped stop the run, T.J. Slayton, and then obviously Rashad Gary. I think they, Gary having that background, be it with Harbaugh at Michigan, being that tough love coaching and understanding how to play a solid defender and being physical, because all of Harbaugh's teams that he's ever coached, players come from his teams are very physical. It doesn't matter if they're on offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. So
Yeah.
I think defensively it's going to be a struggle for the Eagles coming in from Philly, but we will see. Still got to play the game. And so what's your insight on that, and what's your thought on how offense is going to run for the Packers and or Philadelphia?
Well, starting with the defense real quick. I want to mention again, Rashawn Gary definitely needs some more productivity in the passing rush out of him. He's been kind of
Mm-hmm.
their focal guy, and they still. I mean, he's not been bad by any means, but the way they drafted him and what you want him to be from what he was doing in college is that key pass rushing guy, and like
Yeah.
he can do a little bit more in my opinion, because that's going to help force
Mm-hmm.
teams like they're going to have to try to run the ball. And the Packers were not the best at the run defense last year. They were fifth to last in the league. So that's an area that can
Yeah.
improve. But you mentioned the success they had defending the passing game. So that,
Yeah.
and the Eagles are trying to run the ball more, getting Saquon and Jalen Hurts with the running
Yeah.
threat.
We'll see how that works out. Yeah. We'll see how that
Exactly.
works
So
out.
you think that passing or that run defense is going to step up? Offensively, I think it's kind of the same for the Packers. They need to step up their run game. You paid Jordan Love the
Yeah.
big contract. We talked about the youthfulness in the
Yeah.
receiver core, so that's both a little bit good and bad. You have young guys that are speedy, they are smart. It seems like they're playing really well, but there's not a
Mm-hmm.
ton of experience in that room. So you need to make sure Jordan Love is ready to make the passes, and you need guys to catch them. I think that's pretty well locked in, but the run game's been the Achilles heels. Packers haven't finished in the top half of the league in rushing in the last couple of
Yeah.
years, and that just doesn't sit well if you're a Packers fan, right? That doesn't
No,
sound
don't
right.
sit well with me. Don't sit well with me
Yeah,
or
back at
any
the
team.
time when you were running, I mean, that's the MO. And so, kind of
Yeah.
like we mentioned, those two big bruisers, you got AJ Dillon, but now you bring in Josh Jacobs. You have absolute power running backs. Move some people and let them run over the rest.
Yes, please do, please do. And they got the tight ends. They got the all offensive line in there. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Craft. When they drafted them to last year, first or say what second, no first round, and then later in the third round or second round, fourth round or something like that with Tucker Craft. I was out of South Dakota State. I was like, man, this is kind of looking like a similar offense that does a lot of 12 personnel. And that was,
Yes.
between the 49ers and the Ravens. And I'm like, man, they got these two guys that are very physical, and then they're tall and big. They're and the tight end, so they're not obviously burners in terms of speed, but they will be able to block and get the ball down the field by
Yeah,
catching
the
the ball,
Packers were
getting it
absolutely
vertical.
loading for that run game. They were building for that
Mm-hmm.
these last couple years. You go and get Josh Jacobs to add to that. And if you look at the 49ers and Ravens, like you mentioned, they've been at the top of the rushing
Mm-hmm.
pack the last couple years. They've been deep in the playoffs, in Super Bowls. So the Packers are starting to replicate what you're seeing elsewhere. I think we're kind of shifting back to a power run game in the NFL a little bit more.
Yeah,
That's one
I'm gonna
shift
love that
that's
though.
I know we need it. We need it. And I think the Packers are one of the teams primed to do that better this year than anybody else with the two backs they have and the draft picks they've made over the last years. Plus, you have a very, very competent quarterback. You mentioned all the experience he had sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. He knows not to make the bad throws. He knows not to make the dumb mistakes, and he's going to get you the right play call at the right time.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit and talk. We already talked both teams a little bit, and so but now both teams are playing in an international game and sitting and going. So they're getting ready to go down to Brazil, over to South America, and from some of the big headlines that hit just recently, I say in the last month since training camp, was the fact that crazy. Like, how did the NFL miss this, man? Like, all right, they are Fortune 500 company, and this miss one little detail about both teams, knowing that both teams wear a different hue of green, and that
Don't
in
worry.
the area where the stadium is at, notorious gangs are this is their colors, and like
Yep.
no fans, no players, and I Bleav some of the players I've heard they will be in armed security if they leave the hotel or if they leave as a team from the hotel. So hearing that, what was your first reaction to like? Did I just hear what I thought I heard? So what was your first reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to laugh a little bit. It's kind of like a, oh my gosh, this is not good laugh, but
It's like a
um,
cringe moment.
yeah, definitely a cringe moment. If the NFL, you got to do a little bit better research so you can see if that's going to be a thing. And unfortunately, that's going to be a
Yeah,
thing if you're going to Brazil or some other countries like that. It's just honestly, it's part of their culture in some cases, unfortunately.
correct.
So
Unfortunately, right.
that's just one of the pieces they have to look at. Um, the second thought I had was like, okay, what are you doing to protect these players and all the fans and everybody wanting to go down to this game? Because the reason you're trying to,
Correct.
like, the reason the NFL is moving this game to Brazil is like they've done with London and Germany the last couple of years, is getting
Hmm.
a wider international audience. And
Yep.
you're starting to break into the South America audience now. You got to have a little bit more foresight and like do some better research than that.
Hmm.
I think that's a little spot that they missed. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate that you're again having to say, all right, no green at this game with two teams that
Yeah.
feature green in their entirety as an organization.
Right.
Um, it's
Other than when it
a
was
head
in the
scratch.
Packers back in I'm gonna say the 20s or the 30s where they had the blue jerseys and the
Yeah, you
helmets with
could
no
use the
face
old
mask.
throwback jerseys.
Yeah, that's the only jersey
Yes.
that could actually pass going down to Brazil for this game for the Packers. The
I don't know if
Eagles,
Packer
they
fans
actually have
want to
the
see
same.
the
The
old
Eagles
school
have an
one.
older jersey too, where they're blue and gold.
Hmm.
They kind of like they're baby blue,
Yeah,
not a royal
yeah,
blue
it's
like
very
the
light
Rams.
blue and yellow.
They're a light blue and yellow. Because I remember seeing Donovan McNabb wearing that helmet one year with the jersey. So that'll be a potential chance. Maybe we'll see him in the throwback jerseys
Maybe
like
the
that.
throwback. I don't know if that's the image you want to have as a Packer, like going international. Like you want to represent the green, the yellow,
Oh,
the
yeah, with the
G.
legit colors,
Like
right?
that's what you're trying to represent. That's what you're trying to build your international fan base with. But I don't know. That's a miss on the NFL right there.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I was just like, when I first heard that, I was like, I thought I was living, thought I hadn't woken up yet. I was like, am I taking a nap? Am I daydreaming? Did that just hear what I thought I heard? There's gangs that are notorious, and they're both gangs are. I was like, how we missed that one? I was like, how we missed that one? So it's unfortunate, and so we will find out by watching as fans what colors they're going to come out in, and obviously this is going to be, where if we could prop bet anything, like what are going to be, what uniforms they'll be coming out, you
Hmm.
know, for both teams, both Philly and Green Bay, what they're going to boil down to. And I say for me, their best option, like I just mentioned, go to them throwback jerseys where they have the blue. For the Packers, is the navy blue with the yellow, their number right in the middle of the jersey. And then for Philly, for the Eagles, they have the baby blue and gold helmets and jersey design. I think that alleviate any of the gang problem there with not having on the traditional green. Art was the green and Packer green. Was it? Oh man, I can't think of it right now, of course. But the emerald green that the Eagles had, the little darker green that we have from for them
Hmm.
as well. So at least that'll alleviate there. So we're going into this first. So how excited are you? Quick question. How excited are you about week one? We just had week zero of college football this past weekend, and now week one is coming up in another week and a half. How excited are you about NFL football kicking off, Alex?
Oh, I'm stoked. I mean, you get the kind of early kickoff with college over the Labor Day weekend here, but then you get to the real deal with the NFL, and that's probably one of the most exciting weekends of the year. Like everybody's just stoked. You feel the season's changing. You get
Mm-hmm.
that crisp air in the morning. You're just like, all right, I'm ready to hit somebody, and I'm ready to watch some grown men hit somebody on the NFL.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's just a good feeling. So I think this year sets up with a lot of great storylines. I think the Packers are set up to be in a lot of those storylines. So I think it's
Yes.
probably one of the cool things about starting, not just starting the season in Brazil. That's a storyline all on its own. You have a big
Yep.
international game. You're featured against the Eagles, who are kind of trying to come back into that Super Bowl light after a rough down year. And you're trying to make a name for yourself because you have Chicago getting a lot of talk from the draft. You have the Lions, who were in the NFC Championship, all in your division. Like, you got to, if the
Mhm.
Packers want to be the Packers of old, you got to start shoving those guys back out of the way and being like, hey, we are the team you got to talk about in this division. And this is an
Exactly.
opportunity
Exactly.
to put it on like on the spotlight right away, week one.
100%. Because right now we heard a lot about the blue and orange down south in Illinois about the Bears. Restructuring their whole offense, getting Caleb Williams with the first round and first overall pick in the draft, and picking up a receiver in Nduze out of Washington as well, and then paying DJ Moore
Mm-hmm.
what he earned from his contract coming over from Carolina from a couple of years ago. So the NFC North, I've been saying this, and I think I've said this to you a few times when we talked about it. It is just about back to the we called it the black and blue when I was playing in the early 2000s. It was that beat up division, kind of like the Big Ten games, where it was a lot of run, then maybe two or three play action passes. That was about it, and then the rest was run all
Yeah.
the game long. Because one, like you mentioned already, the weather in the states where all the teams are located, but then really just where the offenses are built right now. You got Caleb in Chicago. You got Jordan in Green Bay, and you have the veteran quarterback in Minnesota. Kind of been around a couple teams, and just names missing the bell real quick. And then over in Detroit, you have Jared Goff. And so you got those three quarterbacks. They're all pass heavy quarterbacks, and then Jared Goff has been in two systems successfully, being with McVay out in L.A. and now with uh, Dan Campbell here in Detroit, to now then progress himself, right? To come over, make the change from McVay's offense and be successful. So this division now is going to
Sam
be, I
Darnold
say
in
it's
the
one, it's
Vikings.
definitely one of the most must watch divisions of the NFL so far. So that's what I'm super excited about, is you getting that competition almost equal and in parity. So where the black and blue comes from is beating each other up, and then by the playoffs, we're like, we ain't got nothing left.
Yeah.
you know, but hopefully you do. You have
Yeah,
enough
it's
left to
it's
get
going to
through
be
the
a rugged
playoffs.
division this year. Sam Darnold's
Yeah,
the Vikings quarterback again.
Sam Darnold. Yeah,
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 since McCarthy got hurt. But yeah, I think you're right. This is a division that's going to be won with a solid ground game. You saw the Lions improve on that last year. They've been
hmm
without a
yeah,
1,000-yard rusher for God knows how long, and like being able to
yeah,
churn out yards on the ground is one of their keys in building a stronger program, and that's just going to be a focal point this entire division. The Packers again are primed really well from what they've built, from who they brought in and free agency and trades, and like I think that's just really what this team's looking to do, and it's going to make a big difference.
yep, yep. Sounds good here. So something I've done before on other football shows is done a little pick 'em. All right, we're gonna pick. We just gonna
Oh
do
yeah,
the
yeah.
division. Yeah, we're just gonna do the NFC North division, the division we just talked about here for the past half hour. So we got, obviously we already know one game. We got Green Bay going down to Brazil along with the Eagles. Hopefully everything goes okay for everybody involved, get teams, players, and fans. Everything is safe. So you got we got that game, and then I'm gonna name off the games first, then I'll go through picking them. So we got
Okay.
Green Bay and Philly is the home team in that game there, and then we have your LA Rams at Detroit, so right across the water there, and
That's
then
a
we have
Sunday night.
Minnesota, yeah, Sunday night game there, and then we have Minnesota going out to New York, and then the Bears open at home against the Tennessee Titans. So we'll take the first game on the list, which is our Packers. So who you got there,
I like the
Alex?
Packers. I think
Mhm.
again that power run game is going to be shown right away in game one. The other thing is they have traveled internationally more recently than the Eagles. They traveled and played in
True,
London in 2022, so they have some experience on like how to prepare for these international games, these longer
my
flights.
man. Yep,
That's one of the biggest difference makers. The Eagles haven't done that. And again, you have all of the extra hype around an international game. You have all the extra things that you're not in your normal routine. The Packers have
nope,
seen how to build a routine. And I think that plus a strong ground game, Jordan Love's going to come out ready to prove his contract worth. I
yep.
like the Packers going international to win in Brazil.
Yeah, and just for that right there, I'm going Pack because I already know how prepping for a game doesn't matter if it's international or domestic. If you're just going, like if you're a New England team that has to go to Seattle or a San Diego team that has to go to Miami, there's prep in that. You got to get there 2 days ahead of time, and that 2 days, your body has to take every hour of that day to acclimate to the time zone, to the heat. Your
Oh
body
yeah,
gets a little dehydrated for being in the air, and that's something that, like you mentioned, the Packers have already prepared for. So part of that, and then along with the preparation, and also what I mentioned, that the Packers no injuries during preseason. Not sure if Philly did, I don't think they did either, but I think having that good training camp, good mini camp progression, getting their quarterback signed, so was no drama to really deal with other than the big offseason trade early in the offseason with Aaron Jones, or releasing Aaron Jones and then him signing with the Minnesota Vikings. Other than that, things have really run smooth for the Packers. So I think
yeah.
coming off a good note of offseason and preseason football, this game is going to be definitely in the Packers' favor to get the victory. I'm not a points guy. I'm not great at that, so I won't put points on you. Just a win or a loss is good, and you already said a win here. So the next game we'll pull up here is the Bears got Tennessee coming to Chi-Town, where they still trying to figure out, are they going to play in one stadium downtown
Yeah.
or another one up? They don't know what they want to do. That's unfortunate
You go to the
for
college
these
level.
Bears.
Northwestern in Chicago is also figuring out the same thing. They're trying to build a new
Right.
stadium, so they're playing by the lake right now. It's like everybody in Chicago just doesn't have a football field or doesn't know where to
Yeah.
put
They,
theirs.
they don't know where to play ball at. So right now they got the Titans coming to town. So who's your pick here?
I've seen the Titans live at Arrowhead last
Mm-hmm.
year, and they're just they're just kind of a mess. Like they had so
You
many
said the
opportunities.
Titans?
Yeah, the Titans. They have so many
Oh,
opportunities
yes.
to win it, and then they just don't do all the right things to win it. The Bears do that too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
But
kind of the Bears' MO. I think the Bears are
yeah.
trying to turn that corner. I like the young talent. Caleb is a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal quarterback. You bring in great weapons with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. I think the Bears' new offense is what gets it done for
Mm-hmm.
them. I'm not convinced that the Titans have it all put together. Um, and you also lose
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I was saying you lost a big piece right there.
I don't know what they do without Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
What
It's
is the Titans' offense without Derrick Henry?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm taking the
He's
Bears
a
in that one.
big missing piece. Be a big missing piece there. And I said this one, yeah, I'm up on I could flip a coin on this one here because, like you said, you got for me, it's the big piece of Derrick Henry not being a Titan. But I think then with Chicago, even though they got in a lot of new toys, those new toys still got to work together, and that's a learning process. And I say that process starts now. So this is a hard pick for me because I'm like, man, you got a lot of changeover because you still have Will Levis that's going to be starting for the Titans, who is still a young quarterback. He's in his second
Mm-hmm.
year, and so, man, I'm gonna say I'm just because I want to see if his name and his play style is the cost of admission. Mr. Caleb Williams from USC is all what he says he is, as we'll find out in
Mm-hmm.
Act One of his first NFL season or first
It's a
NFL
good
game
test because
against the
the
Tennessee
Titans have
Titans.
a very solid defense.
Yes,
They're
so great test,
very solid
fantastic test.
up front, but I like
That's
the Bears.
one. Yeah, one thing Vrabel brought over real well from being a player and I say kind of coached under Bill Belichick is that defense, and he has that down. Past those DBs, very aggressive and very knowledgeable in what type of defense they want to show. And obviously another team that's physical on the defensive side. So yeah, I'm gonna go Bears in a close game. I don't see no big blowout there. I could see like a 2 point or 3 point win, maybe a touchdown win
Mhm.
by the Bears in that one, but they're going to earn it for sure.
Yeah,
And
I can
so,
see that in one score. That's a good call.
yep, for sure. All right, next game on the list here is Minnesota going to New York. So as we said, we got JJ. He's going to be sitting probably at home,
Mhm.
watching the game, watching Sam Darnold start the game. So what's your thoughts here? Who's your pick?
I have never been a Sam Darnold fan. I never have been. Not college, not in the pros, and
Right, of course.
like it. It pains me to pick the Vikings because I'm just not a Sam Darnold fan. I have no
I
interest
love it.
in seeing the Giants actually do something competent because I think it's funny when they
Well,
continue
they
to just
to
stumble
shoot
over them.
themselves in the foot. Yeah, they
Yeah, when they
continue to
just
shoot
stumble
themselves
over
in the foot.
themselves constantly. it's always funny to have one or two teams like that in the NFL. The Giants are always that team, and it's just really funny to watch that.
Right, yeah,
Um,
now it is. Now it's the Giants. Back in the day, it was probably like Detroit and Tampa Bay way
yeah,
back when,
yep,
and now
and
the
it's kind of
roles have
shifted.
changed.
So
Yes.
yeah, post Eli has shifted to the Giants, and I just think that's really funny. I think the
Unfortunate,
Vikings
yeah.
win it because of the talent around Sam Darnold. Again, I'm not a Sam Darnold believer, but if you got Justin
But he
Jefferson,
could
you
but he
have
can manage the game. He
yeah,
could
you
definitely
can
manage the
manage a
game.
game. You have Justin Jefferson to throw to. You have Aaron Jones now in your backfield, and their defense was sneaky last
That's
year. Like
pretty solid.
they are not a team that puts up the biggest flashiest numbers, but they were one of the better defenses like that you just don't think of in the NFL. They're
Yeah.
probably in that top 10, 12 defenses that you like week in, week out, they have just a very good consistency to them. And then at the end of the season, you look, you're like, wow, they put up these kind of stats. And
Yes.
that's something the Vikings have just always been like. You never pay attention to their defense, but at the end of the year, they're in that top half. They're in the top 10. And you're like, wait a minute, they actually were pretty
Hmm.
consistent.
Yeah, they got great
Like,
leadership. You start with Harrison Smith. I think that's where that starts. You talk about that where they're sneaky good. That's
mhm.
part of it. Is Harrison Smith? He's a thumper. He hits hard, and then he knows how to read offenses. He knows how to get in the right position, get his teammates in the right position. I watched him since he got there, and so knowing he's in the backfield along with Hendricks, so you got two guys on the field that their football IQ is very high, and they work at a high level together. And so then you have two levels of leadership. You have them. You have Harrison Smith at the strong safety, so the DB area, and then Hendricks at the linebacker, and also the D line area. He can move those guys around and get those guys ready to play ball. And I
Yep.
think they do that for one. If they don't do it verbally, they definitely do it by the gameplay because they both are thumpers. They both bring what we call back in the day the hats. They hit hard, and you got to have that in a strong safety and a middle linebacker too. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the. I'm gonna push with the Vikings as well in this one. Preseason for Daniel Jones and crew look a little rough. And then on top of it, they don't have Saquon. They don't have a running back that
Mhm.
commands attention from a defense anymore. So that's going to really be all on Daniel Jones to try to figure out how he's going to come out of his injury and be able to play at a level where he earns his contract. Because right now, I'm pretty sure everybody in New York is like, what in the heck is
Yeah.
going
Why are
on?
we paying this
You
guy?
paid this guy 120 million dollars for 4 years, and he can't even throw the ball at the back. I'm pretty sure that's how I know New York fans, and they go hard to paint on their own players. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, I mean,
unfortunate. Hopefully, he can survive that.
name a New York Giant receiver right now. Like
Neighbors.
neighbor.
That's
Okay.
about that's the
The
first round
rookie.
draft pick.
The rookie. Okay.
The
Like
Rick.
you're gonna lean on a rookie receiver your whole season? That's a big ask.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the other thing with the Giants is I don't think I could name half their starting lineup. I don't think I recognize
Yeah.
half their starting lineup.
No, Evan Ingram's gone. He's in
Yeah,
Jacksonville. No,
yeah.
you're
So like
right. You're right.
again, like who are you gonna
I could
throw to?
cheat.
Who's playing?
Yeah, I could cheat right now. Go to click the screen here. So we got that. So yeah, I'm gonna go Minnesota as well. So the last game of the NFC of the week two. It's not of the week. I'm sorry, second to last game because we still have Monday Night Football with
Yeah,
New York
the Sunday night game.
New York Jets going to San Francisco on Monday night. So Sunday night game, last game of Sunday night is your Rams against the Detroit Lions coming to Detroit. So who's your pick here, Mister Fernando?
Yeah, quick
All
admit to
right.
all the Packer fans listening. I am a Rams fan, number one, but I do like the Packers a lot. I enjoy going to see the Rams in Lambeau because it's an incredible stadium and it's really fun
Yep, he
just
went
rooting
last
for
year,
the
right? It
Packers
was
alongside them.
last season.
Yeah, I've been there
Yep.
twice now, and it's so much fun going to Lambeau. So I'm definitely a pseudo Packers fan on the side when they're not playing the
There
Rams.
you go. Good
Um,
job. You survived. You're gonna make it through.
yes, I am not going 4 for 4 with the NFC North though. The Rams are going to win this game. A
Okay.
1 point loss in the wild card on the road last year. Revenge is best
Mm.
served week one. So the
Ooh,
Rams are going
I
to come
like
in.
that comment
Stafford's
right
going to
there.
come back to Detroit. He wants that victory, avenging from the wild card. They're more healthy. A couple offensive line dinks, but I think the Rams are ready. And you have a lot of new faces because Aaron Donald's gone, and you've
Yeah.
got a lot of new like young guys. But Puka was a problem last year. Cooper Cup's back. So you have your deadly 1-2 punch at wide receiver, and I think the ground game is going to be a little bit better. the Lions are phenomenal. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with again. That coaching staff, that team. But I think Matt Stafford wins this homecoming game just in pure revenge for him.
I like it. But I'm gonna go the other way just because.
We have to have
I'm gonna
one that we
go.
disagree on.
Yeah, because and I say that I'm gonna go defensively. I believe Hayden Hutchinson
Mm-hmm.
from Michigan has come in and supplanted himself as a threat for the Detroit Lions defense. And so when you play against this team, and you got to be aware where he's at, where he lines up. Sometimes they move him inside, to the 3-5 technique a little bit, or to the 3 inside technique, or he just puts at the wide 9 and let him go track meet off the edge. So knowing him, and then he could stop the run and the pass. He's accustomed to doing both, coming out of Harbaugh coaching academy at Michigan there. So he knows how to play the run and he knows how to play the pass. So along with that and the back end with the defensive backs that also support them, I think that's where they're going to win the game. Because it's early in the season. Sometimes something I know from football, and I think this as a coach as well. The offense sometimes gets some teams' offense kind of get some time to.
Offense is usually the sluggish one.
Start slow. They
Yep.
some of the time the sluggish. Defense comes out like a bat out of hell. So I could see them, the Detroit Lions defense, getting ahead of Sam coming in, or not Sam. The Rams quarterback.
Stafford. Matt
Stafford. Yeah, Matt Stafford. I was about to say Sam Darnold again. Matt Stafford, slowing him down with because the fast hitting defense is gonna get going and be excited, and they're gonna know what's on the line. They're gonna know he was the guy that left, that got a Super Bowl after he left. And trust me, even though there's some players that are on this roster with him, and so that is in the back of their mind too. And so if I'm on defense, I'm one of these players that 3-4 years ago I was teammates with Matt. This is on my frontal lobe, and I'm starting now. I'm like, no, he's not about to come up here and win after he left and won the big game. No. So just on that, I would say this defense is going to be mentally ready to say, hey, no, not today, partner. Maybe another day. Maybe when we come out to LA.
Honestly, we could get another 1-point game with this one. Like there's This is going to be a good game.
I agree with that.
I think the Packers one will also be close. We didn't quite get a score on that one, but I think it could be close early. I think if the Packers really establish the run game, I think that's when they can take the lead and really run away with it towards the end. Maybe get a 2-score victory. But that game in Brazil will be interesting as well.
Yeah, because Philly got a solid defense too, just like kind of like Detroit is a little bit.
They're going to pass. Like they want to make sure Jordan Love is worth that money. They're going to pass rush him like crazy.
100%. I would. I'm Terry Glenn or Aaron Glenn. I'm about to bring the house to Matt Stafford. Like, hey, bro, what's up? You got a ship with another team after you left, but we good now too. Check this out. So I'm gonna get Detroit by, I don't know what the score is, like I said, but a few points. It's gonna be a tight game, but I believe Detroit's gonna have 2 back-to-back opening victory seasons because they had a upset of the 49ers last season when nobody picked them to win, and they did. And so I think they're going to keep that record going by getting their second pick, a home opener victory in there. So, all right, man, I think we want to wrap this thing up. I want to say thank you for now joining in on this Bleav in Packers show that we're going to be doing for the rest of the season. Myself and my good friend Alex Fernando kind of have a football. So you got one football fanatic, then you got another one in terms of me, and then we might play a little Madden from time to time, trash talk each other on that stuff too. So you got anything you want to say to the Packer fans before we check out of here, Alex?
Packers, this is going to be a good season. I've enjoyed watching this team. I've really liked what the moves were made. And again, I'm anxious to see what they can do this year. I think this is going to be fun. I'm excited to be on this pod with you, Ahman. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep.
I love talking football, and this is a great way to do it. Great team to talk football about.
For sure. So, yeah, Alex, I appreciate you taking the invite. We're going to have a lot of fun this season, talk more Packer football, and then breaking down other topics because obviously it's going to be big events all the time, week over week. There's going to be, unfortunately, injuries. There's going to be coach changes. There's going to just be things that happen in a normal NFL season from week to week. We're going to find out about it, and we're going to talk about it. So, you can find all that information, especially about the Packers, going to be here on Bleav in Packers every week here on the Bleav Network. So thank you for watching, and go Pack Go, and we'll see you guys next week.